The real reason America wants you to be scared of Islam is because Islam threatens entire industries built on exploitation. Follow the money, interest-based banking, Islam forbids riba. America runs on credit cards, student loans, mortgages, payday loans, medical debt, and keeping poor people buried under payments forever. Americans had about $1.23 trillion in credit card debt in 2024 and paid about $160 billion in credit card interest charges that year. Porn, prostitution, and sexual exploitation, Islam forbids sexual exploitation. Alcohol, drugs, and gambling, Islam forbids intoxicants and gambling. America profits from addiction, then profits again from rehab, court fees, probation, prisons, treatment programs. Commercial gambling alone generated $72.04 billion in U.S. revenue in 2024 and $78.72 billion in 2025, with billions more collected in gaming taxes. So yes, the government profits too. Very moral, very family values. The prison system, America turns crime into a business model. Lawyers profit, prisons profit, probation systems profit, treatment programs profit, media companies profit from the outrage, politicians profit from tough on crime speeches. Islamic law is the opposite of that. Sharia is not built around keeping prisons full so corporations, court, and politicians can keep feeding off the cycle. For the worst crimes, it uses severe penalties as deterrents. For lesser crimes, the focus is supposed to be on repentance, restitution, community responsibility, and reform. The goal is not how do we keep this person profitable to the system forever. The goal is how do we stop the harm, protect society, and make the victim whole where possible and prevent this from happening again. America turned crime into an economy. Islam treats crime as something society should actually want to reduce. Tiny little difference, only the difference between justice and a business model with handcuffs. Oh, and war? Islam has rules of war. America has defense contractors with quarterly earnings calls. That sentence alone should make everyone uncomfortable. But from 2020 to 2024, more than half of the Pentagon's discretionary spending went to military contractors. And at adoption, America even found a way to monetize family separation. Private domestic infant adoption can cost tens of thousands of dollars. The issue is not loving adoptive families. Plenty of adoptive families deeply love their children. The issue is the system. In Western-style adoption, a child's legal identity can be rewritten. Their original birth certificate can be replaced, their name can be changed, their biological lineage can be hidden or sealed. Then people act shocked when adoptees grow up trying to figure out who they are, where they came from, what medical history they have, and why their identity was treated like paperwork to be edited. Islam looked at that and said no. In Islam, caring for orphans is highly encouraged, but erasing lineage is not. That system is called kafala, guardianship without identity erasure. Love the child, raise the child, protect the child, feed the child, educate the child, treat them with mercy, but do not erase who they are. And to be clear, kafala does not mean treating an orphan like an outsider. Muslims are encouraged to treat orphans with love, dignity, protection, and full household belonging. A child under kafala does not automatically become a biological heir because lineage and inheritance lines are preserved. But the guardian can still provide gifts during life and leave them a portion through a will. So it's not don't treat them as yours, it's treat them with the love and responsibility of family without pretending their original family never existed. Western adoption says, we love you, so we will legally rewrite you and profit from you. Islam says, we love you, so we will care for you without erasing where you came from. That's not oppression, that's protecting a child's identity while protecting the child. So when people say Sharia is scary, I mean, scary to who? Scary to women and children? Or scary to banks, porn companies, addiction industries, prison contractors, corrupt politicians, adoption profiteers, war profiteers? Because now let's talk about how these systems actually treat women and children. They want you to think Islam is uniquely oppressive, but compare the records. In the Bible/Torah, Deuteronomy 22 describes a man forcing himself on an unmarried virgin, paying her father, and marrying her with no right to divorce. In the Talmud, Nida 44b includes legal discussions involving intercourse with a girl as young as 3 years and 1 day in the context of betrothal and marital status. And before anyone says, child marriage only happens in Muslim countries, no, it happens here, in America, with parents, with judges, with marriage license, with Christian families, with paperwork that can turn abuse into marriage. Because apparently evil sounds better when it's notarized. And child marriage was legal in all 50 states as recently as 2017. Unchained at Last reports that nearly 315,000 children were legally married in the US between 2000 and 2021, and the vast majority were girls married to adult men. And it gets worse. In many situations, a child can be old enough for adults to sign them into a marriage, but then still not old enough to file for divorce, sign legal documents, rent an apartment, or escape without adult permission. So America can legally trap a child in a marriage while denying that same child the adult rights needed to get out. So when people act like this only happens in Afghanistan, just know America does not have the moral high ground. America just gives abuse cleaner paperwork. Now compare that to Islamic law. In Islamic law, sexual assault is not treated as pay the father and marry the victim. It's treated as a severe violation against the victim, society, and God. Classical Islamic law can treat violent sexual crimes against children under the most severe categories of crime: forced unlawful intercourse, grave harm to an innocent child, and corruption on earth. That means severe legal accountability, including capital punishment. That is the part that they do not want people comparing, because in America, powerful men can get plea deals, reduced charges, overturned convictions, short sentences, expensive lawyers, and judges worrying about their bright future. Brock Turner was convicted of 3 felony sexual assault counts. Prosecutors recommended 6 years. He was sentenced to 6 months and then released after 3. That case became infamous because the system looked more worried about his future than what he did to hers. Jeffrey Epstein's 2008 plea deal became one of the clearest examples of how wealth and connections can soften consequences for crimes involving underage girls. Sean Diddy Combs was acquitted of the most serious trafficking and racketeering charges. He was convicted on prostitution-related counts, sentenced to 50 months after prosecutors sought over 11 years. The point is not that nobody is ever punished. The point is that American justice can be inconsistent, expensive, appealable, negotiable, and deeply shaped by power. And while America was doing all of that, women in the US were still fighting for basic financial independence in the 1970s. Before the Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974, women could be denied credit, loans, mortgage, credit cards because of sex or marital status. That law made discrimination illegal. But before that, most women needed a man in order to go to a bank. So the same country that acts like Islam is uniquely oppressive was still treating grown women like financial children during our parents' lifetime. Now compare that to Islam. Islam gave women the right to own property, inherit wealth, receive a dowry that belonged to them, seek divorce, pursue knowledge, keep their own money. A woman's dowry in Islam is not a bride price paid to her father, it belongs to her. A woman's inheritance is directly addressed in the Quran. And the oldest continuously operating degree-granting university in the world in Morocco was founded by a Muslim woman in the 9th century. So while people act like Islam hates women's education, one of the oldest universities in human history traces back to a Muslim woman. Humanity somehow survived this shocking scandal. And even today, the Catholic Church teaches that a valid sacramental marriage cannot simply be dissolved by divorce. Civil divorce may end the legal marriage, but the Church does not treat that as ending a valid sacramental bond. So when people say Islam oppresses women, compared to what? America, where women needed legal protection in the 70s just to access a bank account independently. A system where a child could be signed into a marriage but not easily file legal paperwork to escape it. Religious texts where a man who assaults an unmarried virgin pays her father and marries her. Church systems where divorce still may not be recognized religiously. A court system where powerful men can get plea deals, reduced charges, short sentences, appeals, technicalities, and public excuses. But Islam is a system, they told you, is uniquely dangerous to women and children. Interesting. Maybe Islam's not dangerous because it harms women and children. Maybe Islam is dangerous because it refuses to build an economy on exploiting them. Islam says you cannot profit from interest. You cannot profit from prostitution or addiction or gambling. You cannot normalize sexual exploitation. You cannot erase a child's lineage. You cannot treat children like collateral damage. You cannot let wealth erase accountability. So when Islam says no interest, no gambling, no intoxicants, no prostitution, no exploitation, no corruption, and accountability for severe crimes, that's not just a religious disagreement, that's a threat to entire revenue streams. They told you Islam was oppressive, but maybe what they really mean is Islam is bad for business. And by business, I mean the industries built on debt, addiction, exploitation, incarceration, family separation, and war. Tiny little misunderstanding, only a few $1 trillion wide.